All right, so today we're doing section 6.6, evaluating rational exponent expressions, okay? Now, calculators can help you with this. I'll probably actually bring them on. I forgot to bring them out. But they can help you with this, but not all the time. They might be able to help you with the numbers, but not with the letters, kind of like it was before, right? Like you can do radical 2 times radical 3 on your calculator. It'll give you radical 6 and you're fine. But if it was like radical 2x plus radical 3y, it's not going to give you radical 6xy because it doesn't do letters, okay? So, but it might help you with the numbers, okay? But at first, we'll kind of deal with the ones that it can help you with, okay? So first things, recall, okay? Number one, this is what we just did, right? X to the p over I is equal to the ith root of x to the p power. So I want you just to remember that because that allows you to convert something from radical to exponents or exponents to radicals. Sometimes going from one to the other is helpful, okay? The second thing, xy to the n. In algebra 1, you use the power of a product. That's what it's called, okay? Xy to the n. Now, xy to the n basically says if you're multiplying two things inside of the parenthesis and you raise it to a power, then you can give that power to both things. So in other words, x to the n times y to the n. You can do that. You can distribute that power. Now, if it was addition or subtraction inside of that, x plus y to the n, x minus y to the n, you can't do that. You can't just distribute powers. But if it's a product, you can. So that's called the power of products. I'll put it for us right here. The power of products. And then this last one, x to the n to the m, becomes x to the n times m. This is called, well, powers of powers, okay? Powers of powers. And I'm just going to put is a product, okay? So when you have a power to a power, you're going to multiply, okay? So some people like to call it the product of powers property. There's a lot of P's there. But the product of powers property, whereas the other one is the power of products, is backwards, right? So, but anyway, just remember, if you're multiplying in a parenthesis together and it has a power on the outside, you can distribute that power. And also, if you have a power raised to a power, multiply them. Okay, that's going to make your life a lot easier. Now, this lesson is supposed to be pretty simple, okay? All right, so we're going to be simplifying these examples, okay? And you're going to see in parentheses, I said these can all be done by calc, meaning every single one of these problems, you can just push some buttons on your calculator and you're fine, okay? No big deal. When we get to the second set of problems, it's going to say some of these can be done, or some of it can be done with calculator, okay? So these are all calculator based. So look at example number 1. It says 216 to the 4/3 power. So all you're going to do is you're going to go to your calculator. You're going to type in 216, okay? And then you're going to press this button, though I'm pretty sure you guys know the button, but there is a button that looks like this, X, and then like a little box. Okay, that's your power button. So hit that X to that box, and you see a little box come out on the number 216 to the, put in 4/3. Now, there is also a fraction button. I don't know how well you guys know the calculators, but it looks like this. Everybody's calculator might be a little different, so if you don't know where these buttons are for you, let me know. But that's the fraction button, so I'm going to hit the fraction button and then put 4/3. What answer does it give you? All right, so 1296, and I'm done. Okay, easy. This should be simple, okay, because these can all be done with a calculator. So look at example number 2, 81 to the 5/4. So I'm just going to go on my calculator, type in 81 to the power of a fraction, 5/4, and what answer does it give me? 243. All right, easy, right? So this one right here, same thing. I'm just giving you 3 of them just so you can try them, but not because it gets any more difficult with the calculator. So I'm going to type in 64 to the power of 7/6, and my answer comes out to what? 128. Okay, easy. All right. So these are not the ones I'm worried about. I think these, punch it in, you're going to be fine. Okay. The only way you get these wrong is if you press the wrong buttons. You write 64 to the 7th power divided by 6, the whole thing divided by 6 instead of 7 over 6 as a power. So pay attention to the way it looks on your screen. That way, when you're looking at it, you know you're not doing like a big division. Like, I don't want you to do 64 to the 7th over 6, but you think you typed in 64 to the 7/6, right? So look at your screen, make sure that you guys are doing it right. Now, the next problems. I said these can kind of be done by calculator, okay? If it's just a variable, you can't put variables, bless you, you can't put variables into the calculator unless you have a really expensive one, okay? But these are $20, so we can't. Okay, so you cannot put variables into a calculator, but we could do the property on the calculator. Now you notice this says v to the 6th to the 3 halves, right? V to the 6th to the 3 halves. Well, what am I supposed to do with the powers when a power is raised to a power? Look at the 3 definitions I gave in the very beginning. What do I do when I raise a power to a power? What do I do to those powers? I multiply them. So that means this becomes v to the 6th times 3 halves. So now I'm going to use my calculator and say 6 times 3 over 2. What do I get for 6 times 3 over 2? A 9. And I'm done. Again, this is not supposed to be difficult. You just got to make sure you understand what buttons to press and what property to use, right? So that's one of them. Let's do another one. Now you see how this one says 343 times v to the 6th, all raised to the 4/3. There was a property number 2 that I gave you that says if there's two things multiplying inside of a parenthesis and there's a power on the outside, what do I do with that power? Sorry? I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to distribute it, right? So in other words, what the property number 2 states is I can do this. 343 to the 4/3 power, v to the 6th to the 4/3 power. That's what property number 2 allows me to do. Again, that's an algebra 1 property that basically says if you have a product inside of a parenthesis and there's a power on the outside, you can distribute that power into both products. So that's what I did. Now I can use my calculator. 343 to the 4/3 power is what? 2401. Okay, so 2401. And then v to the, well, what am I supposed to do with the powers if it's a power to a power? Multiply them, right? So 6 times 4/3. Oops, I mistyped that. 6 times 4/3. What do you get? 8. And I'm done. So when I said you can kind of do this on a calculator, like I mean it. You can kind of do it. You can't do everything. You can't do the variable, but you can fix the power on the variable. You can type out the number to the power, right? You can do everything pretty much. You just can't put a v into your calculator. It'd be nice if I could have just typed in v to the 6th to the 4/3 and it would spit out v to the 8th, right? Now again, some calculators can, okay? I have one in my bag that can do it, but it also costs $218, okay? Worth it for me, I'm a math major. Not worth it for you if you're like, I'm never going to do math ever again once I'm out of here, right? You don't want to have a $218 toy, right? Unless it's like a Game Boy or Switch or something like that. Do they even make Game Boys anymore? No, right? They're all Switches now, right? So I think 6 is the last one. So yeah, let's do number 6 right here. Notice 1,000 n to the 3rd, all to the 2/3 power. So it's 1,000 times n to the 3rd, all raised to the 2/3 power. Okay, so again, I'm using property number 2. which says if you have things multiplying inside of a parenthesis raised to a power, distribute that power. So I'm going to rewrite it. 1,000 to the 2/3, and then n cubed to the 2/3. Okay, 1,000 to the 2/3 comes out to what? 1,000 to the 2/3 power, right? So I'm just literally typing this in. Comes out to 100. Okay, so I should have known that because the cube root of 1,000 is 10, and 10 squared is 100. So I should not needed to do that, but it's okay, no big deal. And then n to the third to the 2/3, the power to a power is a product. We got to multiply. So when you multiply 3 times 2/3, you should get a what? A 2. So it's just n squared. So your answer is 100 n squared. All right. Easy lesson, not as easy as the one I taught last, which only took me 8 minutes. This one took me 11, but definitely not tough. Okay.